Hey everybody, this is James Klingler at your favorite YouTube channel, I hope. We're here with Sam Hofman today going over a video I recorded yesterday. How's it going, Sam?
It's going fine. Good morning.
Good morning. So we're going to go ahead and hit play and start discussing about what we're seeing here.
We're seeing something immediately overhead and then to the right, and there's a smaller round object of 2017 there up by the date. And then over on the left-hand side, we've got another illumination. That changed again. Basically, we've got Nepacity on the right. Nepacity on the left. We've got Isatum behind Nepacity. We've got Atu and Uri on the right-hand side of the sun, and they're doing their movement and rotation. And of course, we're at the birds, and I think we're going to skip on the video here a little bit farther forward. Okay. This illumination that everybody's seeing that looks like a sunrise and is just white on these clouds is more than that. It's a lot more.
I've noticed that a lot of times before the sun even actually comes up over the horizon, the sky is lit up enough because of the reflection off the bottom of the planet there above us, the straight flares that are coming around the planets.
Right, and where the yellow dot is, we're at like 2353 minus. And you're seeing the angled flares of these straight white lines coming off, and that actually will show you the angle of the insert of the cutoff. Now, over on the right-hand side, we're seeing the stripes of Atu, and then over here, we're seeing the darkness of enlarging Nepacity. Is getting bigger and bigger and bigger as it progresses through time. Now, there's also been the red refraction of this Isatum behind and slightly below Nepacity, and it's visible in a lot of these shots. And we've, of course, recently seen Isatum crossing the top of the sun in some locations, in this case, mixing webcam.
Why it's been so red lately in the skies?
Right, and that's where a good noticeable portion of the red has been coming from. Now, the green-blue, of course, the light green, weird green, I even saw a green sunrise this morning because it was just majorly green because it's refraction off the bottom of the green Nepacity.
Yeah, it was pretty green here, too.
Dot, you're circling Atu on the right, and now you're swinging past the rounded side face of Nepacity, and you're also circling something else, and we're kind of wondering what's going on with the planet count, and the planet count is a little messed up, and location is a little messed up because they're rotating and they're so close that it's really hard to keep track of who's who because everything is being affected.
Now, could that be Isatum's glare from the glare off of its moon? Maybe that's Ceru on the top there above, just reflecting.
Well, be Ceru behind and above, and Atu and Uri up close, and track of Ceru lately because they've all been stacked up because the whole group sort of went up and we sort of went down, if you want to call it that way, and then we're rounding our regular solar system corner, and yet the whole group has sort of changed in alignment. They were visible, flatly, and now they're all sort of just lining up over on the right-hand side.
Now, speaking of alignment, I've noticed that the sun has been coming up further in the south and going down further in the south every day. Does that have something to do with the planets being around us, or is there something else in play there? Because I mean,
I think it's Wake-Eddy. I think we're tipped from atmospheres bumping into each other. I think there's lots of stuff going on. They rotate one direction, and I think we rotate the opposite. And I sort of look at it like a soccer ball trying to deal with a wave.
Now, can we get captured by these guys?
We live in an electric universe. It's possible. It's possible that we're being pulled out of norm. Everybody's freaking out about how bright Venus is lately, and with all these planets in one solar system, everything's compressed. Everything's no longer where it used to be. I don't think these planets are as far away as they used to be. I think everybody's really packed in here tight, and we've got a lot of objects in a very small space.
Yeah, Atu on the right there is looking really close. I mean, we're getting some really good facial lineups of it.
And everybody says, well, we should see it, we should see it, we should see it, but not until they pass us will we see a full-on actual facial view. We're getting these side illuminations and underneath illuminations because they are partially past us or at an angle now that we can see them, and it's increasing more and more and more with each passing day, which is why everybody's getting the great sightings. I mean,
it's crazy.
Sightings, you can't help but see a planet by looking up most of the time now.
Here in the video, what are we looking at now? Because I see green Nepacity on top. And behind the red,
you can see the base cloud with the finger spread out base cloud.
You see the dark side of it too.
Another one behind that, and that could actually be Ceru, like we talked about. It could be when you were doing the swoop.
Yeah.
And Ceru could be directly aligned behind that, and Atu and Uri coming in from the lower right.
It's funny that the stripes just give it away.
Yeah, and the color, the colors keep showing. I mean, the cloud area right there is showing basically the baseline.
Right.
And what
blue,
the real
purple.
sky is from the mountain. over to the right is the actual sky, and the rest is overhead planet. You know, we just switched to the thing with the pool.
That's the one in the morning for the, we're looking west in the morning time. This is actually looking the opposite direction of where the sun even comes up.
Right, and that's where Nepenthe is first thing in the morning.
I mean, look how red it gets on the horizon there. That's just, I mean, it looks like a sunrise itself.
Well, and if Nepenthe was overhead and on that side, then we know that his Saturn is slightly behind it.
I mean, look at that. That's
right
crazy.
Side of Nepenthe, so that would be the red refraction.
That's normally where the sun would go down, but what's funny is the sun doesn't even go down there anymore. It goes down on the far left of the screen, off the side of it.
We've been seeing for weeks now, months now actually, literally since the summer months, a passing Earth shadow. And for the longest time, it was on the northern latitudes only. And now currently, this major shadowing, and all you have to do is look at any of the loop on geostationary orbits and stuff like that, and you can see this Earth shadow passing on the southern parts of the hemisphere. I think the passes are facial at a lower hemispherical than they were.
What do you think those guys in those boats are thinking as they're driving by and seeing what would appear to be a sun rising in the west?
They're probably not paying any attention to it because most people are just trying to get through their day.
I guess.
And a lot of people don't consider it's possible. You know, everybody, I talk to new people, to people trying to understand and trying to, look all this stuff up on the internet and come to terms with it. And everybody's out there looking for this tiny stuff. They're going, oh, there's something near the sun. Oh, there's this dot here. The overall major overhead passing planets are so huge that we don't get how close they are and how huge they are. And they fill the sky. And that's why we're seeing, I'm at minus 1711, and we're seeing full facial illumination in the west, because in the east, the sun is shining on the bottom of a planet that's literally right next to us and over the top of us. And BP Earthwatch and some folks were showing these magnetosphere glitches.
Yeah, when they fail?
Magnetosphere was freaking out, and it did this weird eye-shaped thing, and it went dead on both ends. Well, that's probably because Earth was probably at that time between two major planets, and our electrical field, our magnetosphere, went nuts, out of flux briefly for a week or 2 or 3 days or whatever, however long that lasted, because I got sidetracked, but I was watching it. But and nobody thinks of to look at the wakes, and the wakes literally outline the planets on either side of Earth. I mentioned it, but very few people got back to me.
Yeah, this is the sundown part of that same location, where the sun is actually going down on the left side of the screen. But for as long as I've been recording this channel, that's not something that normally happens.
Yeah, there's some really, I mean, we're way tipped.
Yeah, we're off.
Wobbling.
I mean, for the sun to come up in the south and basically go down in the south, I feel like we're getting further away from it.
Yeah, well, but then it would be getting smaller. The standard red and the yellow dwarf soul are still orbiting each other. And I think that we're still getting disinformation, and they're only taking pictures of our soul and scrubbing out the other red sun behind it, because we've got numerous pictures of both suns.
Right.
Going back, all the way till arrival, which was just pre-2012. And we even, at Montana Skywatchers, we watched the arrival of the second sun. We saw it, and I even had a whole bunch of pictures to prove that it was occurring. And then we also had a close Nibiru pass at the same time, and it was showing its spatial blue tool star. And you can see the tool star in front of Nibiru, and then you can see the morning rising of our yellow soul sun, and off on the far left distance you could see the incoming standard red sun, and that was back in 2011, just before 2012. And it was really cool, and all those pictures are lost because I've had so many computers flying by. This green is the basic color of Nepenthe, and the purple, when you see purple in the sky, you're looking at Tude. And when you see a striped white thing, you're looking at Uri. And when you see a really red round something in front of or next to the sun, then it's a Saturn. Now, a Saturn has that freaky yellow moon.
Yeah, that's that yellow on the video right now, right? That weird yellow.
Full facial illumination. It's way light green.
Yeah, it's really strange looking.
Because it's overhead, and then all of a sudden, look how fast it gets.
Let's pause that right there.
Okay, I'm paused at 1353 minus.
Sounds good to me. I'm at 1354.
Okay, and then I'm looking at the new picture of the placid.
Yeah, but I kind of wanted to talk about something else real quick. Like you were saying, a lot of people are out there watching all these videos and things and not knowing, basically because nobody's explaining everything the same. Some people are out there guessing. Some people are just asking more questions and leading people maybe down the wrong paths, maybe because they don't know that they're on the wrong path. Who knows? But I mean, that's how I found you.
The other day, somebody called the blue Kachina the dark twin at the same time.
And I found you through Steve Olson and WSO, and I mean, as soon as I heard what you were saying, everything just clicked in my head because that's exactly what I was seeing. I just couldn't understand how to explain what I was seeing because it just doesn't make sense with the standard cosmology.
Everybody believes that anything large is going to smack into us because two
Right.
like bodies, when allowed to, will crash into each other. Collide into each other. We live in an electric universe. These things all have a static charge, and when they close past, they push each other away. Now, Immanuel Velikovsky got laughed at over this back in the 70s when he put out the book Worlds in Collision, and I read it right away when it first came out on the store shelves because I've always been interested in this stuff. Immediately believed the guy, and somehow it just automatically set in my brain, and I never even gave it a second thought. And then years later, now of course I'm studying his material again. But he was very, very correct that these planets they semi-collide, but they push each other away, and they fry the heck out of each parts of the. I mean, look at Mars. Half of Mars was fried off.
Yeah, that big dash.
Electrical event.
Yeah.
And that's what if you look at the what they call what is it the ditches, whatever in Mars space, I can't think of it.
Yeah, the canyon, the big scratch on the side.
They're all electrical. And I strongly recommend for everybody to watch the movie series Symbols of an Alien Sky. And
Thunderbolts
Mr.
Project.
Talbot and all of this, they go on and they'll teach you guys how to look at different understandings of the electric universe, because what standard people are teaching now is so wrong, it's unbelievable. The government would never have talked to me about my paper had I not been accurate. They would have never wasted their time with me whatsoever, and this, of course, happened in 1980. And I understand what I'm looking at here. I've been doing this for, now, almost 7 years, and Montana Skywatcher started out and we started out posting tiny pictures of Nibiru, and what everybody doesn't understand is they're all talking about, here's Nibiru, here's Nibiru, here's massive. It is so big, and it's already gone past us, and is currently, from last sightings, gone to the upper right above the sun, and it is behind Saru and behind Uri and behind Atu,
which are always on the right side.
On her. It's almost impossible to get a view of Nibiru currently, unless I'm wrong, and that's entirely possible.
Now, in this next sequence of video that we're going to look at here, I've noticed that when the sun is coming up, or actually what we're looking at paused right now, I mean, it's already kind of light all around. And I'm assuming that's the light coming and bouncing off the bottom of Nepesity. And once we get the video going, you'll actually see that the light is coming down from above the clouds before the sun ever comes up. But when the sun does come up, it comes up behind something huge.
Yeah, hit play when you're ready. Cut it off.
Yep, I'm 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, I'm at 1352 minus.
Right on. So look how light it is. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. How bright, and we don't even see anything.
There was reports from Phoenix today where they had nothing but a total whiteout above them.
And here comes that big shadow where the sun comes out from behind. Boom. Bam! Yeah. Look at that.
And then it settles. That's just.
It looks like it's like
that's Mexico, right?
Right, but I mean, what's so big in front that's going basically down? I think right there you can see the pinch between the two planets there.
Yeah. What kills me is the black dot coming up on the lake or the ocean or whatever that is.
The funny hush lens veil that reflects on the water.
That is. And I don't talk a lot about it. People freak out, but
that's the lens veil on the reflecting on the water even.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of other things besides planets and moons up here, and some of them have recently appeared, and I've actually seen quite a few of them by eye, and I know more of them we can discuss openly on Facebook. But
that reflection on the water of it is just incredible.
Change your point of view. Yeah, you can even see the shapes of the round white things and the purple things on the water.
Oh yeah, you can see the exact huge planets reflecting.
And then came back, another whiteout, another darkness.
It was all green on the water from Nepesity above.
Well, up here in Montana, we saw the other day Nepesity come so down low over the top of us that it eradicated the sun itself, but all we saw was the horizon line lighting. But then when you got the mountains in the way, we got basically a sunset at 4:30 in the afternoon, when in actuality the days are supposed to be getting longer now, and they're not.
Now, somebody tried to tell me that the thing that's in front of the sun as it's coming up and it does that huge, rounded top cutoff was a cloud, and I just kind of laughed. But
yeah,
I've never seen a cloud do that before.
And I'm briefly pausing, and I hit play again. There, you can see the pinch off between the two planets directly on the water, where you saw this straight line shaft.
Right, and they're all different colors.
Side, you can see the cutoff.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal shot right there. I'm surprised they didn't delete that before I got a hold of it.
Well, they're huge, and people have got to realize that,
Well, they're too busy looking at the little dots. They think lens flares are the planets. These little tiny things in their pictures, and it's not that at all. I mean, they're huge.
Well, I tell everybody, and everybody's usually talking about, look at this flare and look at that flare and this. And I don't even look at the light. Look at the shadowing. Look at the dark objects first.
Yeah, because the sky used to be one color. Now it's like all these different colors all the time, every day.
Memorize my drawings. Look at where the planets are on my drawings, and you can see them for yourselves the moment you take into account what side it is and the size, the shape, and the color. And then you look at the right side, and it comes time after time after time. We're accurate.
Yep.
Because we've been doing this for so long that we understand what we're looking at.
Well, what I think is amazing, actually, is have you noticed that the moon has been coming up in a different place as well? I mean, where the sun is setting and rising. We also got the moon doing some strange appearances.
Yeah, last night I saw the top third of the full moon was cut off. And we've sighted something behind the moon up here in Montana for the last 5 years.
Yeah, we see it here too in California.
And I tell people, and everybody down at the lower elevations goes, "Oh, I don't see nothing," and I see it plain as day up here. You know, I'm just below 5,000 feet here, and they don't chemtrail much anymore as they used to. And a lot of people are talking about, "Oh, look, they're chemtrailing the hell out of the skies."
Yeah, that's right.
People don't understand it. There's clouds and atmosphere around these planets. Some drag off clouds, some ion clouds. We've seen vertical clouds going straight up off the base of Atu for years. And now that Atu is getting as close as it is, we're also sighting a moon that is causing that ion drag off vertical cloud because it's being pulled.
Oh, here's a new second. Yeah, I'm just pulling those arrows over to show people that the sun is coming up over there.
Right.
And then here in a minute, the sun will go down on the right side of the screen.
And what you're looking at is actually underneath an overhead planet.
Right.
And then there's another couple of ones right there. And right where now you're pulling on the right-hand side.
Yeah. We're looking at the sun on the left, basically close enough to see that it's still, we're looking west.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, we're looking southwest, and we're catching the sun coming up on the left of the frame, and here in a minute we'll see
all the answers, but I sure know that these guys are here. We see it time after time, day after day.
Well, yeah, it always looks the same. It's always the same. I mean, people say all these clouds that we capture in these pictures that are actually planets, they call them the most rare weather phenomenon that there is. But how can it be rare if it's every day?
You know, in the sky, if you were to hold an orange up in front of your face, you have these little, noticeable bottom base clouds.
Yeah.
And then as they got bigger and bigger and closer, we started seeing those base clouds over and over again, especially when close Earth passes, literally like all summer last year. We had all these rain bombs, and everybody was wondering what it was. And the best that he
like right now?
Rain bombs, like now. And the rain bombs and the ion drag off, and then of course we could even start talking about the object cluster group, which is coming in and orbiting underneath that whole batch of planets as well, and gets closer. And right now, I saw a couple of pictures yesterday. It was so huge. I'm going, oh crap! All the crap falling behind it, and the debris and everything. And there's been a major meteor sighting coming in every day for the last 2 months. There's stuff falling off of this group, and if this group doesn't hit us, something will. Now in Exodus, they talked about millions of flaming 75-pound meteors coming in, and that it was the time of the last cycle of the Nibiru group, and they come by, and I'm sure that and then they're talking about all of this helium stuff, this wave of helium that came in on other counts. Well, if you look at the helium molecule, it has 2 atoms. Well, guess what? If we have 2 suns,
of
course
there's the sun going down.
Helium. We're in the helium band of the 2 suns.
I mean, how weird is that to watch the sun come up on one side of the screen and then watch it go down on the other? I mean, we're looking at the same.
That's not right.
That's not right.
No, that's not right. And we're not looking at a fisheye lens, so that's
Yeah, and it's not a panoramic lens either. It just faces the one direction, and it gets a little bit of one direction and a little bit of the other. But if somebody was lost in the woods right now trying to follow the sun, they'd be screwed.
Well, and I also view it because we have an electric universe. There is a thread attachment from every planet directly to the sun. I mean, it's this electrical, I've got you and you're coming with me.
Is that how Jupiter got so many moons?
Jupiter and Saturn are gas giants also, and they're little like mini solar systems of their own.
Right, they've captured a lot of moons themselves.
If you were to look at, like for instance, uranium, when it decays, it throws off these little protons and neutron groups, where then all of a sudden it becomes like cesium or something other, where it starts to partially decay. It partially decays, it transmutes itself over radical decay of the atomic structure. So literally, you could look at the solar system and our gas giants that are within our solar system, which is partially what led me to write my paper about us having to have a binary solar system, because with our many solar systems locked in our system, our sun soul does not have enough mass to hold all of this stuff. And that's why I wrote my paper. huge because I knew that our sun couldn't hold anything beyond 3 planets past Earth, everything else, and then we have the Kuiper Belt and all those other planets out there. So there has to be something more holding all of this together, and that's what the combination of the two suns and the two separate solar systems.
We've
and,
changed sequences again
every 3,654 years, etc. Go ahead.
This new sequence we just started on the video as it rolls through. This camera actually looks due north, which gives us a little bit of northwest and a little bit of northeast on both sides of the frames there. And what we're seeing is the sun coming up, and the funny thing about this is now we don't see the sun at all on this kind of cam anymore. Anything that's facing north doesn't even get the sun in the view anymore, where it used to, but no longer does. And we're about to see the moon come up in this view, which is pretty interesting because I don't remember the moon ever coming up in the north before.
Okay, I have yet to see where the moon was when we were talking about this.
It's about to do it, but
now we're seeing a definitive line at the horizon, and it's rounded. And now we could be looking at the bottom atmosphere of a planet.
Yeah, I would imagine that.
Are their clouds, not ours.
Right. Because, I mean, I've seen a lot of clouds that just stretch right up into the space. Like, clouds don't do that. They don't come from space. They don't go to space.
At minus 2 minutes 57, 56, and
yep, that's where I'm at.
Rounded edge.
Yep, and look at it go by.
I tell everybody, if you want to find the planets, just look for the dark shadow in the sky, and then look at the colors.
Yeah, just like it is now. You got 2 different colored blues up there.
You'll see this rounded edge.
Yep.
And these tiny little clouds up above that are too tiny to be. Now they're cumulus clouds, so far out there because then they should be in the upper bands of the atmosphere and ionosphere clouds and stuff, and those are completely wispy.
So now we're looking at the sunset.
Cumulus clouds of such tiny nature can be that high up. They have to be of an atmosphere of another planet.
There's the sun down. Like I said, the sun never even came in frame from either going up or going down.
Now you're seeing a white refraction with a reddish in the background.
Yep, and on the right-hand side is where that moon will come up. Watch,
there's a flash of purple.
Blows me away.
Okay, there's the moon just now coming up for me.
Yeah, look at that in the north.
Okay, and now look at how it goes purple. Now, I saw the other day some photographs where the moon had a big object and its size matched Atu, so it's entirely possible that Atu is crossing the moon base as well. Because I saw.
Yeah, but we just saw the Atu on the side of the sun at sunset, so that can't be right.
It crosses. It crosses.
Yeah, but that thing coming up is the moon.
Well, but the planets up there are crossing behind it.
Right.
Because they're farther away than the moon. The moon is like at 275,000, 285,000 miles out.
A lot of people have been asking me why we don't see the planets at night, or why do we see so many stars. And
well, in some cases we don't see any stars, and we do in a small area. But the planets are between us and the sun. So when we're at night, we're facing away from the sun, so we're looking at the open area.
I see.
Mostly.
That's what I've been trying to explain to people.
Today, when we're facing the sun, they're between us and the sun, or above us to the right, or below us to the left, visually when we're staring at the sun. And if you go and look at the models like Solar System Scope or whatever, and you keep that in mind where they are versus us, and you look at all the planets, all the rest of the normal planets are all over to 2/3 of the solar system, and there's this big empty spot in the model. Of course, it's a 3D computer generated model, but the model is showing this big empty space, and that's exactly where all the other planets are. And they, of course, don't include that information because they want to keep everybody in the dark and not know how directly close all of this stuff is. One other thing I talked about a couple weeks ago to other people is we don't really know when these planets are planning on leaving. We don't know how long they're here for. I mean, I don't have a written, history of coming and going of Nibiru and her 7 sisters,
right,
and all of their moons and the object cluster group of asteroids and their particular type of Kuiper Belt or whatever. And I'm sure at some point in time they have a great deal of stuff following them, because we travel in a spiral. And it's like, when you pull one a sock out of the dryer, you get 3. You get the one you want, because it's the static electricity and the mass and the weight of all of these things that form the compound of what we are that is traveling through space, which is in a larger space from basically like subatomic is the same thing as astroatomic.
Now,
I call it astrophysics, I call it astroatomic.
A lot of people have been asking me on some of the videos, and I know you've explained this before, but maybe a quick recap as to why the sun flashes the way it does during the day sometimes. I mean, people are a little concerned that it's a fake sun or some other information they've been picking up on other channels. But
the cutoffs, especially with Atu lately, because Atu is coming on the right-hand side of the sun, and we've seen this happen in many places coming over the top of the sun.
Yeah, they're seeing
they have atmospheres. They rotate and spin, and they have clouds in front of their planet. Now, when the light goes through the atmosphere of that planet as it's cutting off the sun, that rotating atmosphere has clouds that dim and brighten it, or are there or not there briefly for that moment. And then we watch time-lapse footage, and so it looks like it's flashing. Well, what's happening is there is a cutoff flare occurring, and it's changing from the movement of the planet itself overall and this rotating, spinning atmosphere where it goes cloud, flash, no cloud, flash, flash, cloud, thick cloud, thin cloud, whatever. And then we're seeing it on time-lapses, all of this flashing and flaring. And the flaring has a lot. You'll see the increase in size of sun because something is cutting it off. Otherwise, you would see the direct full circle of the sun, no problem. And a little bit of it has to do with the chemtrails, pollution, and all this other stuff, or regular clouds even. But most of this is from cutoff flaring and a rotational atmosphere of that particular planet that is affecting the focal length of the light that we see.
So even our atmosphere, as we're turning, is actually affecting it as well.
Right, and that's why we see blue, is because we have so much moisture in our atmosphere that the light spectrum is broken down to the blue band. Whereas on other planets, being that they have different gaseous atmospheres, we don't fully know what their atmospheres are, but we have a pretty good idea. We've looked at the close-up passing planets a lot over the years, and a lot of people out there may not believe that, but we've got some great pictures of these planets and close-ups, so we know they're real. But the different refractions has to do with what gaseous form that the light is actually refracting into, because light is not seen in space at all. I mean, it's black out there until it somehow hits something that it can refract through and have a prism effect through, and then we see light. Otherwise, you don't see light in space. It doesn't exist until it breaks into something that we can see. It has to be photon refracted. And people don't get that part. They think it's open, but it's not. It's black out there. And everybody who's using the ISS cam, all they're getting is a facial illumination of Earth. That's the only light they're getting. And a very small view of what that camera is showing. It's a percentage compared to the rest of the sky that they're missing. Of course, they're going to point it away from the good stuff. They don't want you guys to see that. Anyway, I digress.
Well, one guy on one of my videos, he left a really detailed comment about how he is seeing the sky these days, and it's basically the same thing that we're seeing. You know, the partial eclipses with the sun's light wrapping around the tops or the sides of the planets that are crossing in front of the sun there from our viewpoint. And it was kind of refreshing to actually have somebody understand what they were looking at, because a lot of people are having trouble seeing because they don't understand the size of these planets in between us and the sun. They just can't believe they're there.
It's great that people are getting information off the internet, but when they start mixing all this information and they start listening to people who are talking out their backsides, and a couple other people who are obviously paid disinformation specialists, and then NASA dumping out information that we knew 10 years ago and 7 years ago and 6 years ago and 5 years ago and 4 years ago and calling it now, so that people look out rather than right where they're supposed to be looking, close to Earth instead of out at some constellation off in the distance.
Right. They basically got people trying to find a doorknob wearing a pair of binoculars inside the house, right?
Right. Why can't I see it? Well, it's because you're looking at land masses, not distant star. And people years ago said, "Oh, I can't believe this. I can't believe this." And they said, "Well, give me coordinates." I said, "First of all you have to do is go outside your door and look up.
Yeah.
And second of all, by the time I give you the coordinates, these planets move so fast, it's not even going to be in the same space, and there's no way for me to hand this information to you. And you just have to go out and put the time in and get a pair of gray-black sunglasses, go outside and look for round things.
Exactly.
And huge round things, not the little stuff.
Not the dots.
Not even worth wasting time on.
Right. Now, I've also had a couple people quite interested in trying to learn what drawings about, and I try to pass them along to the series that we've been creating, but it seems like they keep dropping back to the WSO, and they're trying to mix our informations together, which are nobody's on the same page. Yeah, because I used to actually subscribe to Steve and a few other people. They were always asking questions instead of giving answers, and it's always a different question about the same thing every day.
Well, we've done this for so long that we've gotten the answers. And I'm not talking, hey, I got 2 pictures that says this. I wait, 5, 10, 15 pictures.
Well, there's definitely a pattern to what we're doing over here at Montana Skywatchers. We see the patterns in the sky and how the colors seem to follow exactly where you're putting them on the pages. And that's why it makes it so easy for me to do the comparisons on the videos after you give me your raw footage.
Yeah, there's a few thousand people out there that actually see exactly what I'm seeing, and they come back to me and tell me, "Sam, you're exactly right. I mean, you're the man. You do this."
Yeah, when I saw you on Steve's show, that's how it was. I was like, "Wow, he's actually making sense," and he's on WSO making sense. Hang on a second. You know,
I've known about the binary solar system for over 37 years, and I know what I'm looking at, and I'm good at what I do. And you know, I really wish people would listen, because this is killing me that I've worked this hard and this long only to be laughed at in the background, and I'm hearing stories, and it's kind of disheartening and hurts my feelings a little bit. But yet the facts are that I'm completely sure of what I'm talking about. And I've had
hey, just like in that,
years of doing it.
just like in number 3 and 4. I mean, you drew something back in April that rolled right up into the camera lens there in December.
Well, we can also talk about the fact that the government also recruited me for what's considered remote viewing. It's now declassified, so I can semi-talk about that. I really don't want to.
Well, then you shouldn't.
Yeah, and I shouldn't. But I was recruited for the Varseeing group, and it works, and I'm good at it. And as numerous people know about, and a lot of people
I've actually heard about it myself.
And a lot of people who do know me know that I can call stuff ahead of time, and I try not to give dates out and stuff like that, because I don't want to, discredit myself or get people scared or whatever. But I'll worry when the ground starts shaking under my feet.
Right. A lot of people I've noticed are very eager to get a date as to when it gets here. Well, I mean, it's been here since 2010. It goes around our sun once every 3,600 something years. We go around our sun once a year.
No, it's not around our sun. Our two suns join the same side of the massive gas giant at the center of the solar system, which holds the two stars, the standard red Immaru and the yellow dwarf star Sol, are two suns, but they're attached to a major central body, and they're separate because of static charge, and then they join after they static charge up to a certain point every 3,654 years. The two suns mingle, they discharge, which is where we had all the backflow CMEs in the 2011, 2012. That's when the two suns joined, but behind the same central object, which I refer to as Nemesis or
Tuberculosis.
The brown dwarf or whatever. And I hate when people are always throwing, because brown dwarf is misleading, because that signifies size of a star, not. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of confusion because everybody's handing all these different names out, and it's not working. Two solar systems join from static charge. They join, they cross paths, and then they separate, and then they go around their normal path of spiraling and rotating in tandem behind this central object of our spiral solar system of the binary solar systems. Anyway, that's the long and the short, and I'm sure I'm going to get a million questions over that. But
I'm sure they do, but they're going to have to wait till next time.
Well, I want everybody to take half of what you read on the internet as true, and the other half is something that somebody or doesn't. And I don't particularly pay much attention to human information anyway, because mine comes from off-world. And those of you guys who want to know about that, can just ask me. I'll tell you anytime in private message.
Yeah, come join us on Montana Skywatcher.
Montana Skywatchers 2.
Yep.
That's the open site that anybody can join.
Yep, I have the links on most of my videos.
Right. And once they distinguish themselves, if they're good posters and they're nice people, then I might even let them into Montana Skywatchers 1. Because we closed that off about 4 years ago, because we were getting trolled so bad I couldn't stand it anymore. And I needed to work and not have to argue with people.
Yeah, there's a lot of skeptics out there.
And I feel for them. I'm doing this for free. I don't want to charge any money for it or sell T-shirts or any of that stuff, because I want credibility to go forward. And I don't want to, and I've turned down most of the major stuff because a lot of the time I'm still trying to hide from whatever could happen by me saying the wrong thing. I have to be careful still.
No doubt.
I don't comment until I'm really sure of what I'm looking at.
Right. There's no question about what you're saying when you're not questioning yourself. So.
Right. That way I can get back to work and I don't have to worry.
Exactly.
I've been doing this for so long, and I've got so much crap for it from so many people that I cared about their opinion, and yet still, I've sent information off to all these people, and very few of them have ever even so much as returned a private message. And I wish, if they want to know, just ask me.
But we're running out of time, Sam, on the recording, so we're going to have to pick this up next time around.
Okay, so we'll do this again. I wish people, if they actually did see the planets and agreed with what I was saying, would actually make some little videos on their own and say, yeah, I believe Sam. It's that simple. But I understand a lot of people don't want to stick their neck on the line, especially on Facebook.
Right. Anyway. But we have a lot of people there on Montana Skywatchers. We post a lot of good pictures. We post a lot of good threads, have good conversations. Skeptics are welcome. Just don't be, how you are.
Down everybody's work.
Right.
I hate people that post nothing but pictures of lens flares.
Well, we don't have a problem telling people that they are posting a lens flare. Some get upset, some don't. 11
pictures, all the way down the page, one at a time, not even piled up. They were one at a time, and every one of them was blurry. It's like, oh God.
All right. Well, we're gonna take off, everybody. We'll do this again sometime soon.
All right. Aloha from tropical Montana
and tropical California.
All right. Take care.
Hey, everybody. This is James Klingler. at your favorite YouTube channel, I hope. We're here with Sam Hofman today going over a video I recorded yesterday. How's it going, Sam?
It's going fine. Good morning.
Good morning. So we're going to go ahead and hit play and start discussing about what we're seeing here.
We're seeing something immediately overhead and then to the right, and there's a smaller round object of 2017 there up by the date. And then over on the left-hand side, we've got another illumination. That changed again. Basically, we've got Nepesity on the right. Nepesity on the left. We've got Isatum behind Nepesity. We've got Atu and Uri on the right-hand side of the sun. And they're doing their movement and rotation. And, of course, we're at the birds, and I think we're going to skip on the video here a little bit farther forward. Okay. This illumination that everybody's seeing that looks like a sunrise and is just white on these clouds is more than that. It's a lot more.
I've noticed that a lot of times before the sun even actually comes up over the horizon, the sky is lit up enough because of the reflection off the bottom of the planet there above us, the straight flares that are coming around the planets.
Right, and where the yellow dot is, we're at like 2353 minus. And you're seeing the angled flares of these straight white lines coming off, and that actually will show you the angle of the insert of the cutoff. Now, over on the right-hand side, we're seeing the stripes of Atu, and then over here, we're seeing the darkness of enlarging Nepesity. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger as it progresses through time. Now, there's also been the red refraction of this Isatum behind and slightly below Nepesity, and it's visible in a lot of these shots. And we've, of course, recently seen Isatum crossing the top of the sun in some locations, in this case, mixing webcam.
Why it's been so red lately in the skies?
Right, and that's where a good noticeable portion of the red has been coming from. Now, the green-blue, of course, the light green, weird green, I even saw a green sunrise this morning because it was just majorly green because it's refraction off the bottom of the green Nepesity.
Yeah, it was
now,
pretty green here, too.
Dot, you're circling Atu on the right, and now you're swinging past the rounded side face of Nepesity, and you're also circling something else, and we're kind of wondering what's going on with the planet count. And the planet count is a little messed up, and location is a little messed up because they're rotating and they're so close that it's really hard to keep track of who's who because everything is being affected.
Now, could that be Isatum's glare from the glare off of its moon? Maybe that's Ceru on the top there above, just reflecting.
Well, be Ceru behind and above, and Atu and Uri up close, and track of Ceru lately because they've all been stacked up because the whole group sort of went up and we sort of went down, if you want to call it that way, and then we're rounding our regular solar system corner, and yet the whole group has sort of changed in alignment. They were visible, flatly, and now they're all sort of just lining up over on the right-hand side.
Now, speaking of alignment, I've noticed that the sun has been coming up further in the south and going down further in the south every day. Does that have something to do with the planets being around us, or is there something else in play there? Because I mean,
I think it's Wake Eddy. I think we're tipped from atmospheres bumping into each other. I think there's a lot to